Welcome to Full Circle, a podcast where we talk about all things spirituality, personal development, entrepreneurship, tantric lessons, and all things in between. If you're longing for more, visit Lika, L-I-K-A, middle-coaching.com for one-on-one coaching, online programs, and a lot more free resources. Let's jump right into the episode of today. Welcome back, my loves, to a new episode of Full Circle with Lika. I am so happy to have you here. Already, just as a disclaimer, I may be a bit out of breath just because just because we're pregnant. I've announced it on my social media now, so I can be open about it. That's also why you've heard me in the recent episodes being quite trying to get my thoughts out. I'm doing nothing, I'm just sitting, but yet sometimes I'm completely out of breath. So I'm going to try to also slow down all of my excitement, because when I tune in, sometimes I'm so excited. I just really want to share, and I really want to share with you that dynamic in me, but I also really want to talk about something today that requires a bit more grounding, a bit more power from within, and calmness. So I'm going to try to balance it all. Thank you for being here today. The topic of my intention for today's episode. First of all, I have the video, which is a bit new, so I feel a bit different in this podcast, but I love it because I'm going to be able to not only have it on my podcast, but also share it on YouTube. Anyhow, I want to create that magical space for us today to be able to remember what it's like to operate from the feminine, to really feel more like ourselves and find a deeper sense of alignment, truth, expression, pleasure, femininity. We're going to explore like all this realm together. It's almost like a practice that I would love to do with my best friends, and that's really my intention, the intention that I'm bringing here. It's like, yeah, let's do it, and let's find our deeper power rooted in our womb space, in our yoni, in all of this magical feminine temple. I invite you today to the feminine temple of Lika. And it's an opportunity for me too to reconnect with that and to enrich the vision and just bring some richness. I really want to really add more texture and more flavors to what it means to practice the feminine arts and to bring about balance in our lives when it comes to, feminine, masculine. As you know, and as we all feel and sense, we sometimes feel the weight, and I know it for myself right now, and I've talked to many friends. We feel the pressure, and I'm sure you feel it too, but I do feel the pressure right now of, hustling and going fast and producing and, proving my worth through, working harder, and just the masculine qualities of like being strong and going forward and persevering and all those aspects. And as I said, being pregnant, I'm also learning to give myself the space to rest, to slow down, and to come back to my mysticism and my feminine practices. And it's a bit of a struggle. And I'm like, why is it so hard? And I've explored many reasons within myself. But today I also want to explore the antidote to that and create a magical space of desire, pleasure, dream, and feminine beauty. Okay? The reasons for me, I'm going to go quite fast on that, but I know my body is also in a state of healing from trauma. So I feel like my body right now is processing a lot of changes, a lot of what happened in the past, a lot of times where I didn't allow myself to truly feel the depth of my grief, my pain, my anger, my resentment. I'm just feeling all of that coming through, and my body operates more from a survival state. I'm also really worried about my finances at the moment, which, brings another layer of feeling suffocated, feeling like how am I going to survive? So I really operate from that survival mode most of the time. I wake up in the morning and the first thing is like, what am I going to do? And it's like, literally, it's the doing that comes in first. And it's like, okay, either I'm in my head, like going fast, like, okay, today, like no matter if I don't have anything like work related, I will be like, okay, I have to do laundries, I have to clean the kitchen, I have to do this in the house, or I have to prepare myself, I have to do this, I have to go there. So I always find something I have to do for the day. And I kind of like almost like trigger that anxiety right away as I wake up. Or it's work related and I'm like, oh my God, I need to create, I need to produce, I need to create content, I need to work on my next offer, I need to think about a new strategy, I need to do this, I need to do that. Even talking about this, I'm even more out of breath than usual. So my body operates like this first thing in the morning. So it's really hard to tap into my feminine first thing in the morning. And I always profoundly believe that the first few moments upon awakening are what is going to dictate the rest of our days. Something else that happens to me right now, it's like when I wake up with so much anxiety and so much like, I'm like, I'm not breathing anymore. I grab my phone because it's a great escape. I'm like, oh my God, something distract me from that anxious feeling. And I also have that strong desire to feel connected. And I'm lucky and blessed to have my best friends all over the world. So with the time difference, I always have something going on my phone, which I'm really grateful for. Or I also, tune into voice messages so that I can express and kind of liberate how I feel first thing in the morning to my friends. In the days where I feel strong enough to actually like switch that and come back to me, because that's my whole journey right now. It's coming back to alignment, coming back to my feminine heart and the arts of the feminine, but also my heart, my alignment, what's the truest expression for me. I have this amazing track that I actually shared on YouTube and on the podcast. And it's that magic pill against anxiety. It's a 40-minute audio guidance that I've created for myself. And I lead myself through deep breath and visualization and gratitude. And when I listen to that puts me in a different state. Because if I wake up blocked and anxious, and in this audio, the first thing I say is like, okay, put a hand on your heart and feel your own heartbeat. I want to feel my aliveness first thing in the morning. And then I guide myself through a deep breath. And I'm like, it's okay if your breath is not as deep as you wish, because I know I'm also frustrated to wake up in this state. And I feel like I've been waking up in this state since a huge heartbreak, a huge trauma happening in me. And then I have, again, like so many unprocessed traumas. And as much as I'm trying to hide it and I'm trying to pretend everything is okay, I'm trying to keep on going on, like I feel like you can sense it. And I've been showing up on here, showing up on the podcast, showing up on YouTube. I've been showing up for me and my business and what I'm trying to share with you. The power of healing, the power of the feminine, the power of personal development and the exploration of self, to come back to your truth and to live in integrity with you and your values and to go after your dreams and everything that I'm about, everything that I share about. And I'm glad and happy and proud that I've been, showing up so much. But at the same time, when I look about half of the content I've created in the last few months, I feel the tension. I feel the out of integrity part. I feel the struggle. And I'm like, who am I? And like, isn't it too much to share that part of me? And like, who's ever gonna hire me if I show how insecure I feel sometimes, how I'm struggling right now, how I feel so much anxiety, how I've been thinking to myself for the last few months, and it's, it's been reflected in my business, but I've been thinking like, Lika, honestly, right now, I don't hire you like So talking to myself again. So I'm talking to myself and I'm like, I don't hire myself right now. I'm stressed out, I'm burned out, and I'm processing a lot and I'm healing. And the crazy part is like my whole life is dedicated to that personal development world. Yet it's been so difficult for me to allow my body to process whatever it had to. And maybe you're familiar with this, and I love to share on this podcast things that hopefully will help you to feel more understood and to feel seen, like you're not the only one to experience that. And that's actually like the only reason why I love to show up here, because I would have loved to see more people talking about the things I was going through when I was going through a hard time. And it felt like I had a sense of deep relief and connection. I felt connection when people online were sharing about their struggles, and they were not just sharing about what inspired me and what I was like, like a little girl, like, wow. But seeing people's vulnerability online really helped me in moments of challenges. And I feel enjoyed to do that. I don't even really know why. And exposing myself, and it's so weird because I still want to show up because it matters so much to me, and simultaneously I'm like, oh my God, who am I to be seen in that? And is it safe for me to be seen in that? And are gonna people still value me and my work? Do I do a disservice to my business, to myself, to my success, to the recognition and the respect people will have for me and my work if I share how much I truly struggle? And in other moments I'm like, just fuck off. Just gonna be real, because I teach and preach about that, and it's so much easier for me to tell the truth or to share what's happening in the moment. Not easier, like that's not it at all what I want to say. Let me rephrase that. It's not easier to share my truth, but it's liberating as fuck. So, just taking a moment here. For anyone who is going through something, stress, anxiety, worry, just pain, just feeling confused, just not knowing what to do, things not working out the way you want to, I want to come back to not just the thoughts, but the embodied feeling of like it's all happening for a reason. And I'm going to sound annoying right now because sometimes I just don't want to hear that when I'm struggling. But when this belief, because I'm pretty sure you have the same belief. If you're listening to this podcast, you are probably, hopefully sharing this value of like everything happens for us, not to us. Everything has a higher, deeper meaning, and everything is meant to be exactly as it is. Everything is perfect the way it is. It's something that is so easy to say, something that is so easy to think, and it's much harder to actually embody that or to believe that at a cellular level. But I wanted to create that space of magic for us today. First of all, to embrace and accept wherever we are right now. And knowing that maybe you are facing so much darkness right now, but it's also where you're gathering more and most of your power. Like I truly profoundly believe that I found my utmost amazing, magnificent personal power in the depth of my grief, in the depth of my depression, in the depth of the hardest times in my life, because that's where I've built my resilience and I got to let go of everything that wasn't me. Because the pain, the pain was so great and so big that I had to, dive deep within my own resources that I didn't know I even had, the strength that I had to overcome them and become who I am on the other side of it and not be, how do you say, defeated? Like not be like, killed by it, but to actually survive it and thrive and be a better human on the other side of it. I guess this whole journey is about becoming a better human, becoming more true to ourselves and liberating ourselves and letting ourselves feel everything we need to feel. And what I was sharing and the reason why I'm sharing, like why my body would feel so much resistance to go into the feeling, to go into the feminine arts, to go into my pleasure practices, to feel like a goddess, is the time it requires to heal from trauma, to heal from painful experiences where we didn't allow ourselves to actually feel it fully. What I mean by that, recently I've been thinking about my very first heartbreak. I was 13 and this guy was my first love, my first time sexually, and he kind of lied to me and left with another woman, girl at that age, I guess I can say girl, like becoming a woman at that age. And the only coping mechanism I had at the time was to change my mind, like not feel what I felt. Even though I cried so much and I was so sad and I was so devastated, I didn't fully allow myself to have the space to grieve that, because I felt like I had to pretend like, oh, I'm strong, I'm going to move through that. But the truth is I gave my whole heart to this person because I was so innocent. And now being, having the wisdom that I have and being a grown up and having experienced so many other heartbreaks, I was revisiting that to give myself the space to just cry. And it sounds silly, right? But it was that moment in time where I'm like, I just want the space to grieve and feel everything that I haven't felt in the past, because I didn't feel like I could survive it at the time, and I felt like I had to pretend I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm angry. I was able to show the anger part, like I'm mad, I'm angry, and I'm going to become stronger out of this. But it was much harder to say, oh my God, my heart is in so much pain. I feel betrayed and I feel devastated because I loved him so much. Can you imagine? It was like I was 13 years old. I'm 28 right now. This was quite a long time ago, and yet my body holds that frequency of pain and heartbreak, and still like left a scar that I haven't fully taken the time to heal. How wild, how crazy is that? And I'm thinking about this trauma, this pain, this heartbreak, and then so many other things that unfolded after that, and how I've always been like, let's go, let's get it, like 2-week time to be sad, and then I move on. And I've done that my whole life, and it became just how I operate. And I've seen it in my lineage, I've seen it with the women in my life who were never really taking the space to feel, to heal, to be broken, to be heartbroken, to be devastated, to be depressed, to be lazy, to be like all those things. Like we always have to keep it together and move on and be strong. And we are strong women, we are. But we deserve that space. So a bit of the intention today is also to just give ourselves room to feel, room to heal, and just room for the truth of whatever is in the moment. Maybe right now you're living your best life, and I'm super happy for you. But probably if you're living your best life, you're already probably tuned out of this podcast, because that was not the happiest, most high vibration podcast so far. But if not, it's great that you're still here. And the second half of this podcast, where I really want us to emphasize on, is how do we give room to just unfolding, like unraveling and revealing the most beautiful aspects of us. All right, so the reason why I do this podcast episode today too is to remember who I am as a feminine force, as a feminine being, and hopefully you can do the same with me. So what I mean by being in my feminine force, and I'm going to invite you to reflect on that on your own. When you close down your eyes, or maybe you need to have your eyes open, but when you really think about it and connect with your heart, when you think about the feminine, being in your feminine energy, or being the woman of your dream, what do you see? What would you have loved to have as a model, as an example growing up of what it means to be a woman? For me, I'm going to bring you in the vision because I love when we vision together. I love when we, I have a strong imagination. I have a wild imagination, and I love to imagine and visualize things. So when I think about that, the first thing that comes to mind, I see a woman with like bare feet and with long hair dancing on the earth. So I see nature. I see being connected to nature with her body, like barefoot on the earth. And I see her long hair. And I see like this movement. Of course, if you're just listening to the audio of the podcast, I just see like a fluid, like very feminine, sensual movement. Something else I feel is someone that is so freaking loving. Okay, I'm feeling like someone that is just a living, breathing, walking heart. And when she hugs you, you feel all of her love at a somatic level. Like you feel it in every single cell of your body. Something else is I see her smile and joy and radiance. You know, when a woman is in her power and she's genuinely so vibrant, like she emanates this power, this beauty, this radiance. Like I love the word radiance because I love to see my best friends, and I would love to see my whole life, like my whole life, my whole people, my whole family in radiance, especially women. Women have something so special when we are in our radiance, in our pleasure, in our truth. We emanate this energy, this frequency of wow, power and magnificence, and you really see the goddess coming through. And you see this expression of truth where you see a woman in her radiance and you see it's so unique to her. And no one can copy that. Like it's unique to her. But yet the radiance can be similar when it's activated. So I feel like someone that's connected to her pleasure and sensuality. I see someone really beautiful. Not as in like pretty and good looking to the eyes, but as someone that emanates this beauty and radiates this beauty from within. I see a body that is fluid, that is like flowing through life, that doesn't hold a lot of tension. And I see someone that is singing and dancing and expressing herself. I see her painting. I see her eating the most delicious fruits and having it everywhere on her body. You know, this is one of my favorite things in the world, right? Like sensual eating. Cannot wait to be in summer so I can eat even more fruits and have like juices everywhere. It's someone in her play, and it's someone that in her presence you feel just so free to be yourself. You have no holding back. You're just being your full radiate. Like she is embodying that for you. She's modeling that for you so that you can feel like it's so okay to be yourself. And you feel this natural desire to want to talk about your problems and to want to be held by her because, you feel her power and her love. Her power in her love. Because her power emanates from her heart. So in no moments here, I've mentioned in this vision someone that is making $1 million and someone that is hustling and super innovating and whatever, and working so hard. And when I see the woman that inspires me the most, and that's just personal, right? But it's when they embody beauty. It's when they're dressed in the way that I'm like, whoa, it's so unique to her. Like I feel like she's being herself in all of her expression. The way she dresses, the way she talks, the way she moves, what she's doing and creating art. I see women as artists of the world, leaders of the world when it comes to emotions as well. Like they are being a model for us to embrace our vulnerable side and our emotions. So again, that's my vision here. That's my vision. What is your vision? I invite you to really explore in depth what it's like for you. This is when I think about the model I wish I had. When I think about a liberated woman, I think about all those aspects, and it's aspects that I personally value, but you may be thinking about other things. And I could enrich this vision even more, and that's the whole point of this podcast today. Is this podcast should be called like richness, because it's the richness of the feminine and embracing that, and rich because we want to add more flavors, to add more texture to her, to this vision, and how we can call those aspects back into our body. I feel like it's our nature. I feel and think and believe it's our nature to be radiant, to be loving, to be compassionate, to be wise, to be intuitive. That's the deep aspect of the feminine. And all those aspects that I just mentioned, this is where personally I feel more at ease in. This is where I want to spend my whole life in my feminine. I wish I could just wear lingerie all day and wait for my man to come back home and then cover him with my love and surrender to his masculine presence and tilt my head back and show my neck and, all those very sensual things, and eat the most delicious, like cook for him and be in that deep devotion of the feminine too, to my practices, to my spirituality, to God and the goddess, to my men, to my future baby, and to liberate my expression, to keep on sharing my heart out there, to keep on sharing my art out there, and to keep on having fun and play. And when I'm in that, I feel more like myself. When I'm doing my practices of dancing and feeling and visualizing and being deep in my shamanic rituals, like dancing and movement and screaming and going into embodiment practices, and I don't even have the exact vocabulary for the kind of magic I do on my own at home. But when I channel visions and I travel through dimensions and through different, I call different parts of me, and I do the deep healing necessary in my body, when I'm self-massaging with, the deepest, most intentional infused elixir oils on my body, and I'm caressing and touching myself and honoring my vessel, my body temple, I feel like myself, and I feel good, and I feel in my power. When I use my voice, when I'm singing, when I'm laughing, when I'm moaning in pleasure, when I'm expressing myself in this podcast, I feel like myself. I feel like I can play between different expression of my different archetypes, and I can see what life has to offer. When I allow myself to feel my pain and my sadness, and to cry my pain, and to be like fully feeling it without holding back, without having to hide it because it's shameful, but actually reclaim all of me. When I'm feeling my joy and I can scream and jump and be so happy, and I allow myself to feel the intensity of everything that I feel free and I feel like myself. And recently, as you know, I haven't felt quite like myself, and this is why I wanted to create this beautiful, special, sacred temple space and ceremony almost for us today, to feel more like ourselves. What does it mean, and how can we trigger that? I really feel like and think and believe that it has to come through the body. It has to come through a deep level of relaxation. Again, I've seen this and shared it in my story yesterday. I have never known, and I was never modeled, a relaxed woman. My lineage of women in my life, I've seen them stressed out. I've seen them people pleasing, being so worried about what other people are going to think. I've seen them strong. I've seen them doing, being active, being the supporter, being everything, trying to hold to every standards of society, but I haven't seen them relaxed. And so what happens is that when I see, it's going to sound so silly, but when I see the way my mom was brushing my hair. Do you see my hair? I have a video today on for the, okay, now they're quite short even though they're growing. Plus, I have that good hair from the pregnancy. I'm really enjoying it. But I had long hair most of my life before that. And when my mom was brushing my hair, she was going fast because we had to do something else after. We had so many things to do. We had to cook. We had to do the laundry. We had to, she was busy. She was busy all the time. And so when she brushed my hair, I was always in pain because I have like big, voluminous, full of tangles hair. And I remember just this painful moment because also my I'm super sensitive. I'm sensitive like emotionally and spiritually and I feel everything to such a deep level, but I'm also very sensitive in my body. I'm sensitive to smell, to everything, like to touch. If you touch me in a certain way, my body will react so strong. So I'm very sensitive, like with my hair. And I was screaming and crying. Like it was such a painful moment for my mom to brush my hair. And when I would go to my now passed grandma, who was the only almost example that I had as like a feminine woman. And she was very sexy. She was beautiful for her age. She had long hair. She was always loving the sun. She was dancing. She was not working. She was an artist. She was painting. And when she brushed my hair, when she passed away, those are the moments that I remembered and missed so deeply. Even though in the last few years before she passed, I didn't have such a great relationship with her anymore. When her death came so suddenly, like all I could think about is that moment in her bathroom with my cousins and my sister and me, and the way she was brushing my hair. You could sense the love. She was going so slow. She was taking so much care because she was not in a rush, because she was relaxed, because she was just present with us in the moment. And it's obviously not to blame my mom because I didn't have that, or it was just a silly example, a small example, to see how impacted I was as a young girl by the presence of a relaxed woman, and how I want to be that for my kids, and I want to be that for my men, and I want to be that for my friends, and I want to be that for my family, and I want to be that for the world, and how I've been struggling to be that. If I bring you back to the beginning of this podcast, is how am I going to do it? And it's so hard, and oh my God. And so, deep breath with me for all the times we haven't been relaxed, for all the pressure we feel as women in the world. I don't know where you are in the world because this podcast is literally available for everyone. But in my culture, where I grew up in a small town of France, like it was not easy. Like it was not, I don't know, I feel like I was so pushed to, do a business school and have good grades and find a great job and make a lot of money and be successful. And I feel like that was the only way I could find value, and the only value and worth. I was worthy only if I was producing. And I love this idea and this vision where, they say that society is like a bird, and we have the left wing being the masculine, let's say the feminine, and the right wing being the masculine, feminine, the bird. And that the bird of society right now is like swimming with one strong wing of the masculine. This is everything that is valued. If I think about success, innovation, being a leader, being a pioneer, and being kind and being compassionate. Like intuitively, or not intuitively, but like how we've been conditioned to believe is that one is more valuable than the other. When actually in my life, if I have someone in front of me, and I'm grateful that I'm thinking like that, and I know not a lot of people are thinking like that, but probably you in this podcast, if you're a woman sensitive like me, you feel the same. But for instance, some people, they meet someone, and I'm thinking about someone in particular, but they meet him and they're very impressed by all of his achievements, and what he has accomplished and his financial success and how he's been like building this huge company with a lot of employees, making a lot of money. He's very wealthy, and he also have a strong presence and charisma. People are impressed by him and like almost feeling small and like, wow. And for me personally, when I see this person, all I care about is how kind and nice you're going to treat me. Because that shows a lot more. Like, I don't give a fuck about your accomplishments, like how kind and how comfortable I'm going to feel in your presence. The people that I admire the most in my life are the people that in their presence I felt love. I felt more love for me. I felt like I could be me. I felt like they were not judgmental of me, and I felt like they embodied so much wisdom. I'm a bit frustrated right now because my computer is about to run out, and I'm obviously recording the sound through the computer. So maybe it's going to be time to wrap up this episode of the podcast, but we're going to wrap up with enriching. I have a few percentage of battery, so let's go and let's enrich our experience today. I want you to dream and to infuse like more of pleasure. Pleasure as in like something that fulfills you and fulfills your heart. Like, what do you truly desire in life? Not as in your goals and your achievements and, you know, everything you want to, like if you want to travel and make money and do this and do that and be that example for someone and have kids and find love and whatever. I'm not talking about that. As a frequency, how do you want to live inside of your body? What's important for you? Where would you love to unleash a bit more of you? Where would you love to surrender a little bit more to your own magic? Where do you want to be a bit more kind, compassionate towards yourself and towards others? How can you allow yourself to have more room to be more you? And how can I create the world where this feminine wing is getting stronger? This is my dream for the planet. This is my dream for me. This is my dream for my daughter. If I have a girl. Still don't know. But I feel like I'm having a girl. Which now I said it publicly. If it's a boy, I'm going to be like, oh my God. I actually don't know. But if ever I have daughters in the future, this is the world I want for them. I want them to feel more safe in their bodies, to feel free and to feel radiant and to be happy and joyful and to live in laughter. I'm going to stop here because cannot be the relaxed woman anymore if I'm stressed about like when my computer is going to turn off. I have 4% now. So with that being said, I wish you a beautiful rest of your day, inviting you to be more yourself today. Finding a tiny bit more alignment, a tiny bit more pleasure, and a tiny bit more liberation. Thank you so much for being part of this journey with me. And again, if you want to support my work, this would mean the world to me because I poured a lot of energy, love, and time investment in showing up on here and interact with me. Leave me a comment. That is already so freaking amazing when I can talk to you in the comment section. When I receive messages on Instagram, it really, really, really touches me on a deeper level, more than you can imagine. Share my work and just be a bit happier for me today. That would do too. Bye-bye. See you soon. I didn't like this bye-bye. I'm going to leave it in the video, but I'm going to just finish with my usual that I do on YouTube, and I talk to you very soon. And this is the end of another incredible episode. Thank you for your presence. I would absolutely love and appreciate if you could support the podcast by writing us a review or sharing it with a friend. Also, let's connect on Instagram, and don't forget to visit the website for more in-depth coaching. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I send you all of my love. Mwah!